This is Gateway City Sports.
It's a trap!
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
This is the Team of Rivals podcast.
Everything you want to hear from the big sports to the big screen.
He's all by himself, fires into the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! No! Vaughn into the windup in his first offering. Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed.
He doesn't like you. I don't like you either.
Time winding down, Michael for three. Yes! She is gone! I don't believe what I just saw! Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! You believe in miracles?
You may fire when ready.
What?
Buenas noches, fanáticos y de Quejoras y las Cardinals. Es jueves 5 de mayo y este es el podcast del equipo de rivales. Orgullosos miembros de la red de deportes de la ciudad Puerto de la Entrada, donde pueden encontrar excelente contenido, podcast y blog. Puedes seguirnos en línea en teamarivalspodcast.com, en Instagram, Facebook y Rumble en Team Arrivals Podcast y en Twitter y Getter en Team Arrivals Pod. Para aquellos de ustedes que nos ven en vivo, presionen los botones. Me gusta y suscribirse y de tocar la campaña en YouTube y Rumble para recibir notificaciones cada vez que publiquemos contenido nuevo. Acompañándome en el programa de esta noche, el cofundador del equipo de rivales y el número 104 en la edición 22.1 de las tarjetas principales en Twitter, Ron Nuttall, y el presentador invitado permanente, Elliott.
Hola.
Tell me you ran our intro through Google Translator and you just sat there and read that.
I ran our intro through Google Translate and I just read that.
Not a bad job.
Good though.
I'll have to run it by.
It.
I'll have to run it by Spanish-speaking people that I know. I know a few of them that I work with, so we'll see how well you did.
Not well.
Okay. Well, I hope somebody listened to our show for the very first time
and is
like, holy shit, what is this?
Did I get the Espanol section of this podcast?
That's right. We have it. That's right.
We've got live translate on.
That's right.
That's right.
You need to. So for those of you listening after the fact, you must have accidentally hit the new live translate feature on Apple Podcasts. What you need to do is you need to go into your settings.
Pete, there will be people searching for that shit. Stop it. Yeah, there will be. Dad, don't listen to it. Speaking of technology and things online, Elliott, you brought this up before we even, and I wanted to talk about this, guys, because I thought it was actually an interesting little thing that I just scrolled by, and that's Facebook has announced it's no longer doing podcasts.
Boy, that's just going to kill our subscriber numbers, I tell you.
I mean, wait, let me ask you this. So I'm not the most tech savvy, but when the hell did they start doing podcasts?
Well, that's the thing. It's got nothing to do with Facebook Live. It's just they had a podcast section.
And it also has nothing to do with them actually hosting it.
Right.
I'm so confused.
I am thoroughly confused.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, does that mean our page just has to come down like, oh, you sons of bitches are a podcast?
I don't know.
Our page is still good.
Yeah, I think that.
And our page is actually titled Team of Rivals Podcast on Facebook.
Right.
I think that they'll still, here's my guess. They'll still maintain the podcast category as a page right? Just like a subcategory of a business, but they'll no longer feature your new podcast content. It won't pull it off of your RSS feed.
That'll kill our numbers.
I know. I told you we're dead. We might as well wrap it up.
I know. Last show. We declared our independence from our dependency on Facebook.
At least we can say whatever we want on Twitter.
Not yet.
Not yet. He can back out. It only costs him $1 billion to back out, which is like a rounding error.
Right.
He's not going anywhere.
I think he's kind of one of those guys once he said it.
Well, you know what? If this is the last podcast, well, then in honor of today's intro and of the date, esto es el fin.
What?
This is the end.
Oh, okay. Well, guys, I mean, see you on the other side.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Lights out.
All right.
Peace.
Ron, what you got in the cup tonight for all the listeners?
It is. I was nervous. I popped in honor of May the 4th, not necessarily Cinco de Mayo, but May the 4th. I popped my last cork off my my Brut, but the tulip glasses I usually drink that in. I got a little bit nervous having it out here. There's a lot of hard floor out here. Any little slip, fall, and I've got a desktop full right now. I had to put it in a. This is a all-purpose red Riedel stemless glass. I just feel more comfortable having it in out here, so I've just got it there. I don't think it tastes any different.
I honestly, I love those stemless ones. I have the whole range of Riedel stemless glasses.
Again, hot topic for our Midwest baseball fans.
Well, and that's why this is the end.
That's right.
We didn't need Facebook to collapse on podcast. We were just going to end it ourselves.
We'll do it ourselves.
We'll take care of our own end, and we're doing a nice job of it. We've been doing it slow. I mean, we've been like a disease that's lasted 6. You know, it's going to take you. You just don't know when.
Or that venereal disease that just keeps coming back.
Yeah.
No, how much cream you put on it.
That's like a good show we do, right? A good show. We'll have 1 or 2 flare-ups a year of a really good show, and then we'll go to shit again. Right. So we're kind of reversed. But we have our good shows, and we have many, many bad shows. I think. I don't know. But Pete, we didn't talk about this before because we don't, and we don't do fake intros when we come on here acting like we just spoke for the first time. Tried out a new one last week. I'm not going to say the name of it on here because I know the folks, but early on in their podcasting efforts, they did that fucking thing that I can't stand listening to, Elliott, what we've been talking about. Like, come on. I mean, I'm just getting old and I just don't like, because Pete, we probably started off that way too. And I hate, especially my first year of doing this so much, that anytime I hear a mistake repeated that I have made, I just want to shut it off. So I can't imagine. Sorry to everybody out there. On my first year of doing this was exceptionally poor. But
that's
Pete, my question.
Understatement.
Yeah. My question, do we want to go into baseball first? I think we should, and we should save the May the 4th stuff towards the back end, I think. Feels right.
I think you're right.
Yep.
Okay, so if we're going to go into the baseball first, the Cubs suck. Now, to be fair, we knew that this was going to be a tough stretch.
Yep.
Right? They're playing a lot of good teams, but they have not looked good. And the unfortunate thing about it is there's not a whole hell of a lot that they're going to get if they sell off this year.
No, somebody was asking me about it the other day, and the first thing that popped into my head was they are who we thought they were.
Yep.
I mean, they played some decent ball in the beginning, and the Vapid gods were looking down at them, but now they're hitting into those, continuing to hit into those double plays, but this same old story. Strikeouts, and when you have a guy on first and third with nobody out, you should be able to get 1 run home. But
boys, what you're talking about sure sounds familiar. Yeah, I'm looking at the Cubs. I've this is probably the year I've looked at the standings the least, fellas. But I didn't realize that the Cubs were 6 games under 500. I know we've only played almost 25.
Gotta get worse.
Yeah, but yes, they're only 6 under 500, but they've lost 11 of their last 14.
Yeah.
So that tells you just how far they've
I'm just
fallen
on Baseball
and
Reference.
how quickly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it can happen quick, especially it seems like you get that until you get to June. I don't know. I guess conventional wisdom, you could never really afford to have a bad stretch, but like you can absorb it more when it's a little bit later in the year, not so early. So you feel buried earlier, like if it happens too early to you, you just feel buried right out of the gate, and it's harder to recover, right? Probably a psychological thing, but
Fair point.
I think that this Central Division is, I don't know where I kind of weighed the competitiveness of this division versus the other ones at the beginning of the year. I didn't think it would be great. I thought it would be kind of a 2-team in it sort of thing. The Reds are terrible, worse than I thought they'd be.
Oh my God, they're awful.
What a painful.
I feel bad about how bad the Cubs are doing. Whoa.
That's rough shit, man. And they beat they took one from the Cardinals, and I think it might have been one of the last games they had won. Imagine Joey Votto's brain right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's got to be killing him, man. He
could have got out of there.
Yeah. Or maybe he has other reasons for wanting to stay, and winnings, like, I guess a player late in career like that, I mean, you're either okay with the ship sailing or you're not. He seems like a competitive guy, though, so it's strange to see him hanging around, or not squawking to deal me in my final year or two, so I have a chance, right? You would think that he feels like that, and I don't know. Maybe who knows? Who knows about that guy? He'd surprise you, but that may happen, but who knows?
And to think that last year they were competitive for a good chunk of the season. And then
just gave up.
Yep.
Very much so.
Lost the will to live. Evidently like the Oakland A's fans. Not to bounce around league topics on you here, Pete, but I look at the standings here, what teams are still actually have major or could be major contributors of pieces on the trade block right now. And it's the same old teams every year, man. I just don't know how, as an A's fan, you survive. I mean, you must just love the game or being in the presence of the game or the ballpark or something, and your team happens to wear green, and that's the only reason you show up religiously to the ballpark. I just don't know how I wouldn't even say casual fan, like pretty diehard fan. I don't know how you hold on. I don't know how. When the joy's taken away from you, from I guess the prospect of your team being competitive, the joy's sucked out of you early on like this. It's a long year, man, and it's a year that usually, like a lot of us, you guys have had the luxury of not having to experience for a while, right? Those years that are over so soon, that you're like, man, it's gonna be a long summer. But imagine being that. Imagine being a Pirates fan. I mean, it's just gotta suck bad. Orioles. Our friend Dell, I still, when I see her wearing Orioles shit, I still scratch my head. But I get it, that was Dad's team, right? So, you follow the family in some cases, but man, it's got to be rough. It really does. And this is me showing empathy to diehard fans like us that are just got unlucky with the franchise you grew up loving, I guess. Here's those Bash Brother A's back in the late 80s and 90s, boy. I sure hope you enjoyed that run.
And that's probably, when you think about it, especially for A's fans, that's probably what hooked them, especially the ones now, right?
Sure,
they don't have a connection to the, the great A's teams of the 70s.
Yeah, that's going way back. Yeah, that's a great point, Pete. I mean, and I make fun of people, and I don't make fun of them internally, but I get annoyed with people buying scratch tickets at the gas station. You have to wait in line behind them. You're like, oh, Jesus Christ, you want to know? Number 13 and a 27, then you're going to move over a little bit so I can pay for my shit while you scratch them off. And I make fun of these people for throwing $1 or $2 down for a chance to win something big. And here I am, the not even teenage punk kid yet, throwing down $1-2 on a pack of Donruss, hoping to pull a Jose Canseco out, because that was my lottery ticket back then, right? So, takes one to know one. I annoy myself.
Yeah, I mean, think about you think back to those A's teams, right? Dave Stewart and Carney Lansford, and you're right, the Bash brothers and Dennis Eckersley coming out of the pen.
They're great, man, and the personality and
phenomenal.
Yeah, and you're good. Ricky Henderson, who I didn't like him. I didn't like him during that time. I'm like, man, what an arrogant bastard! And he breaks Lou's Brock record. If I could really trace the root of my anger towards him, it's probably because he broke Lou Brock's record. But when he held the base or whatever, I am the greatest of all time or something like that. Whatever that line was, I'm like, oh, what a pretentious bastard. But looking back on him, man, what a great player. Even what a good personality to have in the game. Having somebody like that was fun, right? Even though you got annoyed by him from time to time, but Ricky Henderson played to he was 44, still floating around the league, still competing. He had that drive still. A lot of guys, it fades away in their late 30s or here he was, man. He was still trucking along. Ricky Henderson and probably one of the greatest leadoff hitters in the game. I mean, dynamic as far as dynamic goes. I don't really know how you get any better.
He was Billy Hamilton, except for he could
hit the damn ball, right?
Ron, actually, now that you mention it, it kind of clarifies for me what kicks me off so much about bat flips and all the let them play stuff that happens now. And you know what it is? The players haven't earned it. Ricky Henderson earned being able to be that guy, right? Deion Sanders earned being able to be that guy on the football field. But when you're a first-year player, you haven't done anything, and you're bat flipping, you're showing up your opponent and everything. God, that rubs me the wrong way because you haven't earned it. You haven't proven anything, And I'd love to see all these guys who defend it go back, 3 years later after the guy has turned into a complete bust because he had 3 good months, and you were like, "Oh, let the kids play." The kid sucks. He had one hot stretch. So are you ready to criticize him now? But it just won't. Ultimately, since you mentioned it, that's the thing that gets under my skin about all of that stuff.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone, Pete, because I think there's a degree of acceptance some of us have, right? Like, I probably, if I'm honest with myself, I'm maybe a little bit like you in that regard to where I'm not okay. The whole let the kids play thing. Yeah, I'm with that to a point. But I'm also saying, why don't you do it for a little bit of a sustained period of time or win something, and then look, I used to hate the bat flip when I was in my 20s. I did because I didn't like it. I like the guys like Scott Rowland who, if he hit one out, he sprinted around the base. I don't know if anybody got around the bases quicker than him. But there's something I respected about that, right? And it's just, hey, look, whatever. It was preference at the time, but I have nothing wrong with a guy getting pumped and launching that bat in the right field. I don't give a shit. If it's like a game-winning hit or something, that's just emotion, right?
Right.
But the
bat
second
flip
inning
when you're down 12-1,
or the second inning or something, when it doesn't matter.
The guy who got called up from AAA,
right.
Yeah, congratulations.
Right. Yeah, it seems like there's a look. We're not the gatekeepers on, hey, there's a proper time and place to be showing emotion or anything, but there's letting the moment kind of, you're in the moment and it's an exciting thing that happened and you're pumped for your team or whatever. That's one thing. You're right. There's the other one where you throw that here, man, I'm putting it right in your mouth. That kind of attitude too. That's what I don't. Yeah, I'm with you, man. Deion, not many of us liked him. We were young. I love that guy now because I miss that kind of thing. Yep. It's strange. I want to see so bad that Jeffrey Leonard one flap down as he ran the bases. I don't think there was anything fun, and that was against my team in the playoffs in 1987, Cardinals Giants. If you haven't seen it, young folks out there, YouTube Jeffrey Leonard one flap down. It is just goddamn hilarious. I should probably put it on here right now so you can see it. It's funny. You'll never see anything like it again. I mean, anybody who could pimp a home run like that, I mean, he deserved to. He was like NLCS MVP. He was just hitting the shit out of the ball, and he decided he was going to go stick one arm straight down as he round the bases, like it was broken or something. It was just funny. It was just funny. I miss that kind of stuff, man. I really do.
You know what it is? It's the fact that with those guys, when push came to shove, you knew that they had earned the bluster because when they needed to, they were going to come through. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of these guys look, Wilson Contreras, he's the most demonstrative guy on the Cubs. You can't count on him to come through in the clutch when he needs to. There was nobody on the Cubs. And that's probably part of the reason why a lot of them because they were raised, I guess we would say, the right way. I think that's why a lot of the Cubs from the core that got traded away weren't so demonstrative, was because they didn't come through in the clutch, and so they didn't want to get one in their ear because they had showed somebody up when it really didn't matter, you know. And then when they needed to, all right, well, reap what you sow. You better be ready to have that idiot from the Cincinnati Reds show you up on the mound because he struck you out, you know.
Or
yeah.
I mean, why did he and I forget his name, but why did he and Javi Baez not get along? Because they're both the same person.
Garrett.
Yeah, Amir Garrett. They're the same person.
And who do you not sometimes not get along with the most in life? It's that kid that is in your class when you're in grade school who's a lot like you. And sometimes that just doesn't mix well, right? So it takes all types to make the world go around, and once in a while when you run into yourself, you're an asshole.
Yep.
Yes, I am.
Have you ever ran into yourself before?
Yeah, in the mirror every day.
No. I'm talking really, like, if you ran into somebody like, oh my God, I know they're just like me and I can't stand them.
Not that I can think of.
Really? Yeah, I don't have a blatant example either. Yeah, I don't have an obvious one either.
My younger brothers.
Really?
Yeah.
That's why we fought all the time.
Maybe that's
we've come to peace with it now.
Maybe that's the issue I have in this house. But no, Will and Sam couldn't be any different. They're a lot different.
All your kids are different.
They have all different personalities. Well, I'd say that Emily and Sam probably have a personality that's very similar. Just one's happened to be, 6-year-old girl, the other's 11-year-old boy. They're very
How
similar.
do they get along?
They're very not great.
I like the way you said that.
Probably when they get older, though. I bet they will.
Might. Yeah, they might when they get older. But all three of my boys are quite different. Their likes and dislikes. I mean, it's hard to pick out the similarities between them. They're all different. Will should have been raised in the North and played hockey. That would have been, I'm telling you right now, that's his sport. The way he's built, like he'd either be a great catcher or he'd be a damn good hockey player. The kid is so strong, and he's got one of the coaches on my team is like, he's got the quickest hands I've ever seen because he doesn't decide to swing until the very last second, and somehow he gets the bat around really fast, like faster than most kids. And he's got a fuse that once it's blown, he's like an object you can't stop. I really think hockey would have been his thing, but we live in the South. I can't,
So Ron, he would have been the 12-year-old pulling jerseys over the top of kids.
Right.
He's pulled his brother's shirt over his head to beat the shit out of him before. It was instinctual. He's never even watched hockey. He doesn't even know that trick. And intuitively, he also knew to grab his brother by the head and start spanking it off the floor in the kitchen when he was, they're probably like 5 and 7 years old. So he's got that kind of that thing going on where he didn't have to watch TV to learn that. He just got it,
He's just born too late. They don't really have enforcers in hockey.
he'd be a good wrestler.
You know what? You're probably right. Maybe that'll be his thing once he gets into the right age.
Hey, Ron, you mentioned catchers, which immediately made me think of the tools of ignorance and protection. And we haven't talked about it on the podcast at all, but you posted about it. What was it that Sam said about his new Nutty Buddy?
Yes. I actually sent this to Mark Littell too. We bought him the Nutty Buddy. I think we bought him the Boss with jockstrap and shorts and everything. He's got the whole set.
Now, before we get into the aesthetics of it, how does he feel as far as comfort level and protection and everything?
Oh, it's his brother borrowed it last night because I thought his brother was going to catch, and he's like, "Oh, this is way more comfortable than my other one."
Right?
So yeah, I mean, as far as when you see kids and they're used to like the cheap little cups you buy them every year all look kind of the same-ish, right? Nutty Buddy shows up and it looks wildly different. They're like, "What the hell is that?" And then they have it on and they kind of forget it's there, and that's how comfortable it is. Because cups were terrible when I was growing. We had the cheap kind. It looks like a kind of a warped, melted Jason Voorhees hockey mask, and you stuck that down your whatever your jock strap and away you went. And I didn't get hit there often, but once in a while I would. I'm like, shit, these things even do anything at all? Because there's no they're
chafe the sides of your legs.
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible.
It made it completely uncomfortable to run.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You couldn't run normally.
Run bow-legged because you got a hard piece of plastic right there, covering your doink. So anyway, looks odd to him, but I don't think he even noticed it was there. his only displeasure with the item, and I quote, "It makes my penis look too big."
Wish I had that problem, buddy.
I shared that with Mark, and I believe that he did post that. He said it will be part of an advertisement for Nutty Buddy. He's got not using names or anything, and I didn't care if he wanted to, but will be part of an ad. And see if I can find his. I'll see if I can find his post here and maybe share it off of Facebook. It's too bad we're not going live anymore. We could just bring him on, right? Oh, he had a birthday too. We missed it, guys. Damn it.
Mark did, or your son?
Mark. Oh, maybe it's an old post. Anyway, I'll locate this, but it was pretty damn funny.
That's brilliant. Makes my penis look too big.
That's right.
You know, as long as Mark doesn't attach it to an 11-year-old, just says that's the customer feedback. It makes my penis look too big. He's going to sell 1 million of those.
I know, but he did say that his comment was an 11-year-old's observation of the Nutty Buddy. And he put a quote of my text with it that said, "Here's my 11-year-old," and I finished off his quote by saying he doesn't get it yet. So
someday, maybe.
Anyway, I can't even search Facebook anymore. I don't even know how to use it on a PC, guys. It's like if it's not on the phone, I don't even know how to search. So forget it. Not doing it. Yeah.
Once again, we're not talking baseball, so that's good.
Yeah, we should get back to it.
Well, kind of.
Yeah, we're talking about
the equipment. The equipment of baseball.
Here's the thing, though. We were talking about protection, which leads me to another thing I was thinking about earlier, and that is, we all know how important that is. Stay protected, no matter if it's the two boys you have down there, or if it's just when life sometimes throws you a curve, and that's why we all need Allstate. The Wiley Group has 2 locations in Festus and Arnold to serve you. They offer home, auto, boat, motorcycle business, life insurance, investments, and so much more. They offer a customized approach that is unique to your situation to make sure you, your family, and assets are properly protected. They offer great rates and savings. Give Sean and his team a call today at 636-764-6294. They can help you get a quote right over the phone. We all have busy lives. You can email Sean at SeanWiley@allstate.com. That's SeanWiley@allstate.com. Talk to him about your coverage options. And remember, you're in good hands with Allstate.
Yeah, you are.
Can we talk about the Cardinals here for a second?
Let's talk about the Cardinals.
So, record would say that, hold on. Oh, can't do that. The record would, I cannot zoom when I cannot minimize the screen when I'm recording. Oh, wonderful. Okay. Well, I can't pull up what I was going to pull up, but whatever. So the record would say, hey, look, they're doing okay. They're 14-10 as of tonight. I don't know what the score is on the game that's behind me right now, but they're out at San Francisco. It's later games. It didn't start till like 9 o'clock out here East Coast, so I never make it through them. But the record says they're doing okay. And then if you look at, the problems have been kind of the same since 2019, where they're winning and staying afloat by pitching and defense, while the offense is below league average in many categories. If you look at, whether it's on-base percentage, slugging, OPS, or batting average, they're kind of, they're in the back half of the league. That's where they're rating out. And guys, would that have been we could probably cut paste a show from last year, and you'd hear me saying the same thing. The year before, you'd hear me saying the same thing. It's been the same story. The pitching scared the shit out of all of us this year because Jack Flaherty was injured going into it. Question marks around Miles Michaelis, who's actually pitched really well up to this point. Adam Wainwright, who's getting up there in age, but he's still doing his thing. But at 40 years old, how much do you call that stability? I don't know. We'll see. And then Dakota Hudson coming. He made it back at the end of last year, but he was out with Tommy John surgery. And there were question marks all up and down this staff. And lo and behold, we're 25 games in almost, and the Cardinals have a top 5, top 6 pitching staff in the National League. If you look, depending on what metric you're looking at. So once again, it's been pitching and defense that have kept this team afloat. And without that, without some of these guys stepping up, man, we are talking about like a Cubs-like record easily, just based on their offensive performance that they didn't have the pitching right now.
Well, the one thing though they do have going for them though, is their run differential, which is in a pretty good spot right now.
Well, that would be, but that's run prevention, right? That's how they've won since 2019 is pitching and defense.
They're scoring enough runs and they're preventing enough runs to be competitive right now.
Yep, they're the 2010, 2012, and 2014 Giants. That's their formula for winning, so it can work. But, how long do we got to see this? The only problem is it makes for boring baseball.
True.
So then here's the question for you.
Yeah.
How long can it last? How confident are you that it can last? Because it has lasted for them the last couple of years.
It has. There was a scare last year, right? Like when Flaherty got injured last year. Pitching sucked, and the offense sucked even more from like May through June before they started kind of – at least they stopped the bleeding at some point in time, right, before the All-Star break, and then they went on the 17-game winning streak that kind of saved the season for them. So without that, Pete, without that 17-game winning streak last year, I think a lot of Cardinals Nation, including myself, our tone's probably a lot different going into this year if that didn't happen. We forget about it, right? It provided – that 17-game winning streak provided air cover for the way this team played last year. And you asked how long can that hold? It holds as long as the pitching stays healthy and consistent. If that fractures or something happens there, I think they're in trouble. Now, they've got some dead spots in their lineup. I'll go through them real quick. I'm not going to go through their individual numbers, but they're not good. Paul DeJong is broken. I don't know what's happened to him. He was, promising, very good rookie campaign. He's been an all-star a few times, but man, he has fallen off.
Is Jason Hayward broken?
I think so, Elliott.
Yes.
I think so. And
he really is.
And quicker than Jason Hayward. Jason Hayward at least kept you guessing, like, over about 8 or 9 years. Like, hey, man, this guy could turn the corner at some point and be halfway decent.
He had a great, or I don't. Great's a little stretch, but he had a good 2019.
He had a good 2015 with the Cardinals. I mean, he had, a 285 average. He didn't have a ton of power, but he never really did have a ton of power. For a guy about the size of Wilt Chamberlain, he has a very light bat. But he had a pretty decent year when he was with St. Louis in 2015 too. So he's had just enough there to keep you wondering. But man, Paul D, I don't know how much more patience they're going to have with him, but he looks awful. He looks awful at a time when we have a rookie down in Memphis, Nolan Gorman, who's already cranked out 11 home runs in the minors this year. He's just ripping the cover off the ball. You can't keep him down. They're going to be forced to make a decision here soon on what they do with him. Dylan Carlson concerns me a little bit, and I know that, hey, look, he was a Cardinal rookie, and Cardinals, there's a certain segment of Cardinals fans on social media who just slobber all over any rookie who comes up or any young player, any player under 25 who's not close to death, in their opinion, they just love. And Dylan Carlson is concerning me because I have not seen him hit a lot of baseballs this year with any authority at all. He's had virtually no presence in the lineup. He might have had a good game or two here and there, but he's not looked good.
It looks like those two guys could use the Ian Happ treatment where option them down, let them get some at-bats in, figure out what's going on.
I don't know what DeJong's status is right off the top of my head. Like, I don't have it in front of me. Like, do they have options left with him or not? I think they do, but I don't know how many. I know Carlson is a candidate to be sent down if they wanted to get him more steady work, but he's getting steady work at the big league level. It might be the problem.
Right.
Tyler O'Neill, they have no options left with him, but he's not exactly doing what, opening day suggested he was capable of. So they've got probably 3 or 4 guys in that lineup that just are not performing to expectations. It's not helping. But long way of me getting to it, guys. I've got a lot of concern about this team just at some point this year hitting that valley like they did last year for an extended period of time. I think they're very capable of doing that. I don't want to see it, obviously, because it's not going to – I don't like to be proven right most times when I make a prediction about the Cardinals. I don't think I'm overly pessimistic either. I think I'm try to be as realistic as possible. But yeah, Pete, any fracture in the defense or pitching is going to hurt this team badly. And we all know how baseball goes. It's likely to happen.
Yeah.
Yes,
I didn't realize how bad those guys were doing. I mean,
Yeah.
I've kind of paid attention to the wins and losses, but the individual production, those guys are struggling. They're all at 200 or below. That's no bueno.
I've got
Cinco de Mayo.
I've got to read my my text from a Marine Corps buddy who is an A's fan. Now he's not listening to this live because we're not broadcasting this one tonight. It's recorded. He'll hear this later. A text from him I got just about 4 minutes ago. I hate the Giants. I hope you sweep their ass. He lives in California, by the way. I hope you spike them at second base, bean them above the shoulders, and point to their manager when you steal third with no outs and a 7-run lead. Bay Area assholes. This is coming from an A's fan who's not going to be happy with me tomorrow. Well, he'd probably be okay.
It's not like the A's and the Giants play each other all that
It's still
much.
that Bay Area thing going on, man. It's just as every bit as bad as White Sox Cubs, right? Except most Giants fans don't give a shit about the A's, like Cubs fans don't give a shit about White Sox fans. But the other way around, it's completely different, right? So
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So you're looking at the same dynamic there, where the Giants are the sweethearts out there, and Giants came from the sexier thing, New York, while the A's came from fucking Kansas City. So, who do you think is going to be more popular, guys? You locate in Oakland or San Francisco? Like which one do you think is going to take? Which one do you think is going to take a little bit better?
Yeah.
How about the Giants with all that legacy coming from New York, right? Shot heard around the world, that kind of thing, goes pretty far. I did get that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank God. All right. Yeah. Baseball is, I got to tell you guys, if I'm being completely honest, I'm kind of into that same thing where I'm checking in on games, but man, I am not sitting here through a full game yet. I've not made it. I don't know how you guys are doing with that, but I don't know how to get back there. I don't.
It's been like I've sat through a couple full games. Like I watched the Sox games as much as I could. The first one was tough to watch. The second one was at least competitive, but I felt myself yelling about the same shit that I'm always yelling about.
Big news about that, though. I don't know if you guys caught it, but kind of related to it. And look, I haven't watched, I don't think any games this year because I'm a cord cutter and they're on marquee. But I don't know if you guys saw it, but Sinclair announced that they're starting with, I think it's 5 teams, that they're going to have direct stream.
Really?
Apps. Yeah, it just got announced the other day.
Yeah, they're over Bally Sports too, right?
I think maybe. I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, Sinclair owns Bally.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pete, I've heard the same thing. They're wanting to, if you've got their app or whatever, I think that's what you're saying, right? They're going to cut that stuff out.
I think it's going to be like $19.99 a month or $189 for the full year. Here we go. Yep. Bally Sports Plus will cost $19.99 a month or $189.99 a year. Expected to launch with 5 MLB teams: Rays, Marlins, Royals, Brewers, and Tigers. And it'll be full. Now it's in network only, right? So if you're out of network, you'll have to be with MLB.TV, but still,
in network only.
Yep.
Well, wouldn't that be
you're going to be paying $20 for the team that you want to see?
No,
correct.
Yeah. What we think about?
You get all those games.
Okay.
You get the whole season.
No matter if they're playing at home or playing on the road.
More than MLB.TV?
It is. No, it's not, but it is. And let me tell you why it is and why it's not. Why it's not is because on MLB TV, you can watch any team, any game outside of your market. Right.
And my understanding of this is that it'll be blackout free.
That's awesome.
Okay, but you get the channel 24/7, so you get the pregame, you get the postgame.
Yes.
It sounds like that would be the case. So, hang on.
I kind of feel like they're about $5 too much.
Call on phone
for that kind of service, because people are only going to buy it to watch the team that the one team. They're not going to give a shit about any other teams.
But you know what? Anybody who buys MLB.TV is the same way, right? Like, sure, I'll if I can and if I remember, I might watch another game that's not my team, But you know how rare that is that I sit there and I listen to or watch a game from someone I don't root for.
Let's be honest, it's $19.99 a month is cheaper than keeping your cable package.
Well, and that's the thing, Pete. You know who's going to be really pissed off about this?
True.
There are so many people. The only reason they still subscribe to cable things, or even like a streamer, like a DirecTV stream or YouTube TV, they only do it for a live sports thing. So as soon as a network like Bally starts offering it a la carte like this, it's going to hurt those guys a lot. I mean, you think that for other reasons they've lost subscribers. Live sports is the one thing tethering some people to cable packages still. So now that there's an alternative, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with I guess, subscribership to traditional cable and even some to streaming services like DirecTV or YouTube. When you've now got the choice to just go directly to Bally Sports and give them $20 a month, you were giving somebody like YouTube TV $60 a month because they're the only ones that carried Bally, or AT&T
65
or DirecTV Stream, who's right now one of the few that carries Bally. All of a sudden, when you can just give Bally $20 a month, like that, people are going to be cutting those subscriptions quick. I think so. That's
the only thing that will keep people to those services is DVR and just your locals.
Yeah,
because okay, so I don't think I've told you guys. So my brother found this service. It's live TV. There's you can do DVR, but there's some hoops you got to jump through. You got to get a hard drive and direct it there and all this stuff.
I don't do hoops.
But it's 3,500 channels of streaming TV.
What?
I don't need 3,500 channels.
It's
I get confused when we get beyond 12.
Here it's all MLB, NFL, NHL, NBA, college.
This sounds illegal as fuck
UFCs,
right now.
No, it's not. UFCs, all your HBO showtimes, blah blah blah. It's all your locals from around the country, and then it's all the international stuff. So, anyways, it's $85 for 5 connections, so it's per connection. And it's like right now I've got, this is how I get Marquee now. I get all the baseball I want. Nothing's blacked out. It's all streaming. But again, there's no DVR.
I don't use DVR ever. And I guess I don't have to with like something like MLB TV. I don't have to because the games are archived afterwards and I can go watch them anytime.
I'm sorry. $65 for 6 months.
What?
Yes.
This
$65 for 6 months.
Even more of being illegal. I'm not doing this.
So the guy that he got it from,
especially it gives it more credibility to that guy. He's
had it for over 2 years, and he said he's never had a problem at all.
Not got caught yet.
It's just it's a service that he pays for.
We're gonna have to.
We can take this
offline.
Have
to delete the shit. We're taking offline. It's totally adding the credibility of this.
I haven't said what it is, so
we'll have to
stop
the recording.
Awesome. So,
all right, I'm marking the time. I'm going to delete the last 4 minutes of this.
I can have up to 4 games going at the same time on my TV.
Elliott's going to be calling into the future shows from jail. We're going to have to collect calls just to get him in on the show.
Just don't share my IP address. Actually, I'm on the VPN. So
I know I had to crack down on my brother-in-law because I think when I went out to Arizona years ago, in order to let my kids watch a cartoon or two out there, I logged in on my Netflix account.
He's been Bogart.
Son of a bitch been using it for like 5 years, and they're gonna start cracking down on that stuff now. I'm like, as soon as I change it,
you can log in and hit sign out on all devices.
I know.
He's gonna be calling you.
He's gonna be calling me. What's your hey, what happened, man? What's your username and password? Yeah, I know it'll happen. But last thing on baseball, I think it's like, I wouldn't even say it's an elephant in the room. It's just a story that we haven't run into in our time since like Pete Rose, right? Trevor Bauer's career in baseball is very questionable whether it ever is it over or not. And not because, legally can he win a case against baseball? And I don't even think that's the point, Pete. I think it's more about the PR hit that a team or a club or anybody's willing to take in this day and age. I don't think
there's any team that's going to touch him.
I don't either.
But it's the Colin Kaepernick argument, right? Whether or not you're capable, does anybody want that in their locker room?
Yeah.
And does anybody want to have to deal with the PR hit that they're going to get from signing him?
Honestly, I'm surprised an NFL team hasn't taken Colin Kaepernick.
I thought the Patriots did.
I think you can explain that. I think you can get teams can get past that. Trevor Bauer is
different.
Totally different.
Well, it's different. It's depending on who you talk to.
Hang on. You've got one guy who compared playing in the NFL to being a slave. Explicitly said that.
Yeah.
And now he wants back in.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
Well, but he wants to be a slave. I wouldn't want to have to answer the questions if he's in my. If I'm an owner, I wouldn't want to answer the questions. He's too much of a headache. You know that he's going to pop off at some point, and I just don't want to deal with that. I'd rather the focus be on what's happening on the field and not what's happening in my locker room. So I can understand why he wouldn't be hired. Similarly, I can understand why an owner wouldn't want to sign Trevor Bauer, because now you have to explain why you went on the limb and you made a commitment to a guy who, whether or not it was consensual,
is a known woman beater.
Well,
Who likes it rough?
Well, I mean, look, I'm not going to comment on what happened or what didn't happen with that stuff. I don't know enough about it. But the only facts are that like there's a lot of he said, she said type of stuff, and I know he's put out screenshots or whatever. But you know what? I'm not saying he is, but like anybody can throw any kind of shit on the internet. You never know what's real or not, and I get fooled by the internet quite often. So look, we know that he wasn't prosecuted, right? They didn't feel there was enough there to get that over that 90% of certainty of that beyond a reasonable doubt. Like whatever for whatever reason, he wasn't charged because they didn't think they could get that. There was enough there to say, was this woman not telling?
It was enough to investigate, but it wasn't enough to charge him.
Enough to discover, but not enough there to give the whatever prosecuting attorneys enough assurance that they would get a guilty conviction. So that wasn't done. Look, and you've got who's the quarterback now for the Browns? I totally forgot his name. It was in all kinds of trouble. Deshaun Watson, right?
Deshaun Watson.
So you've got him who has like how many accusers? Like in the 20s?
I think it's 20 dozen.
Yeah, like 24 accusers. Bauer, now the thing is he had 2 and then a third one popped up as soon as like last Friday, right? There was a third accusation from when he was a minor leaguer, I think with Cleveland. So but still you have Watson signing one of the biggest quarterback deals ever, having a couple dozen, people accusing him of whatever the hell he did. And you have Bauer banned for 2 years. It's just it's a very strange thing, and that shows you how scared sometimes leagues and owners are. Now, there's a funny twist to this here, Pete, because whether Bauer's guilty or not, I think is we'll know more later, and I don't want to sound like an idiot by talking too much about it right now, but this is Dave. You tell I'm kind of scared to tread on this territory, right? Because by us talking about these kinds of things, we only risk sounding like dumb and pissing people off. So I just want to be careful. But
too late.
I know. Well, I just telegraphed it right there, like Mitch Trubisky did most.
No,
of his passes.
I mean we sound dumb, and just in general.
Fair enough.
Do we need to stop recording, Ron?
No, we're just gonna plow through it. I'm gonna own whatever I'm about to say, but we haven't seen anything like this since kind of the Pete Rose incident, right? And it is a strange thing because on one hand you're like, this guy no charges were brought against him. How can baseball just unilaterally just decide to ban him for 2 years? And it's strange that he was the one guy before any of this kind of stuff came out, all over baseball and Manfred's ass on Twitter, right? He was the voice that was calling those guys out left and right on how they treat players, the whole arbitration process, free agency, like this thing with the CBA. He was a loud, squawking voice until this thing happened with him soon after he joined the Dodgers. And I just can't help but to wonder, because he was such a voice against the commissioner and owners in the league.
Is this them blackballing him?
I think that's a fair point.
I think there's something tells me there's a little bit there that there's a little bit extra oomph to ban him.
It's more than 2 years, because remember the almost year that he's been.
Yeah. Oh, sure, right.
That he's been banned does not count as part of that.
Which is even more of like a salt in the wound, right? I mean, that's a I'll do a Shakespeare reference, Pete. That's standing on the dead corpse, a real Coriolanus moment. Like it wasn't bad enough that you killed the guy. You have to stand on his dead body afterwards, right? So,
wow.
And what is it? He's missed out on like $75 million in pay.
Oh yeah.
Like after this ban, it'll be about $75 million in pay.
Yeah, and he will never sniff, touch, or even be able to dream about another contract like that ever again in his career.
No.
If he ever has one again, which is unlikely.
Yeah, but you have to imagine that his lawyers are already preparing a lawsuit to recover that money.
Yeah, they'll recover, and I don't know what to predict.
They're going to get breach of contract on this, and what they're going to argue, and this was what I mentioned in our chat was. They're gonna argue breach contract and say there were no charges ever brought. The reason the charges and he'll be able to say this because there's no proof otherwise. There were no charges brought because it was perfectly consensual. And you can't ban me while you may not like the behavior. You can't ban me from consensual behavior that happened in the privacy of my bedroom.
Yeah. We'll see.
There's no defense of that. You can have your personal conduct policy, but there's nothing illegal about it if it's consensual.
Yeah, here's where I was talking about earlier. I just don't know enough. I don't want to sound like an idiot. I don't know about their domestic abuse policy. I don't know it enough to know what it covers and what it doesn't, and how they can kind of twist and apply whatever he was alleged to do. Leverage it against whatever policy they had. I just don't know enough about it to speak to it intelligently. So that's where
he's also gonna argue Aroldis Chapman fired a gun into the wall at his wife, girlfriend,
fiance,
right? Fiance.
Yeah.
And you're okay with that, and you allow him to continue playing.
Well,
but I'm into a little rough trade, and you ban me from baseball for 3 years.
True, and
I hope they're ready to write a check plus damages, because
they're also
going to win that lawsuit.
And it's also Marcelo Zuna hitting I think his wife with the cast.
Oh my God, yes.
So
they're gonna have a really, really hard time defending this in court, and that's ultimately where this is going to end up.
Yeah,
this is going to end up in court, and I don't know.
Knowing Bauer, it's going to be ugly, right?
Yeah,
like
it is.
He'll make it very public, and if I'm his attorneys, I'm like trying to take his phone away from him so he can't go on Twitter until this thing's over. But younger will stop.
If he has good attorneys, they will.
Shoot, he could even go to the Addison Russell the way that was handled by the league too, allowing him to still play the entire time until the end of his contract when they pushed him to the international league.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Way to bring it all back to the Cubs Cardinals.
Oh my God. Yeah. Let's get, thank you, Elliott. That was actually brilliant. But what an unpleasant topic to talk about. And the other thing that's unpleasant that I never like doing, none of us like doing, and that's buying a new car. We all know that can be stressful, but it doesn't have to be. Fifth Street Motors, located in Pacific, Missouri, can help you find a vehicle you need, no matter what brand. Fifth Street Motors believes in giving you the best price on a pre-owned vehicle that will fit your budget. Give Brandon or Don a call today at 573-259-1306. Tell them Gateway City Sports sent you, and tell them Team Rivals Podcast. We're the ones who send you, because we are Gateway City Sports. It's only us and Don Glenn putting shit out right now. So,
well, I'm glad that we have them as all the others as part of the close. That's good.
They won't like that. And this is me giving them shit for not putting out anything for a few months.
Yeah, if Ron says please, you have to put out.
That's right.
And if it's Trevor Bauer, it's just while you're asleep. Oh my God, let's get out of here. Let's go. Next,
or unconscious.
Next subject. We do have Braden on with us right now, and he's an adult enough, 17-year-old. He understood that whole thing, but
let me guess, he wants to talk Obi-Wan?
I think we go right into it, right? I mean, we've got to, and I know we've got a couple other things that wrapped up. We know that Moon Knight wrapped up. I wanted a little bit more from that one. That's my take on Moon Knight. I needed a little bit more.
So they changed the tweet that they had sent out before saying, hey, the 6th episode is out. This is the series finale. And then they changed the tweet to say season finale.
See, I was wondering about that. And I always wondered too, Elliott, when they, and I'm sure that shows that have ended call themselves seasons, but always wonder when they do that, right? If they call it season 1, doesn't that kind of imply that there's going to be another one? Like, why even bother calling it season 1 if it's a one-off,
Right.
it's a one and done type of thing,
Correct.
right? So, I was wondering about that too, and the way they did the hidden scene at the end. And Braden was telling me, "Hey, look, Dad, you don't have to sit through the credits. You can fast forward because I hate the damn hidden scenes at the end of credits. I can't stand it, especially when I'm in the theater. I don't know why, guys. It's irrational.
Sit to the end.
It's an irrational irritant that I have. I just don't like waiting on them. I think they're dumb, and so I fast forwarded to that one, and it's a scene that sure implies that there's going to be more.
Yes, there will be.
Okay, good. Because that would have been a little disappointing if it would have been. When I saw it, that was my full expectation that was the end. Episode 6 was the end of it. And I'm like, well, that kind of sucked. Right? We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I could see, because you've never read the comics. I've read that comic. It's good, and I kind of expected there to be more. I'm like, because they had alluded to it about whoever else could be in there, because he said
It looked like there was a third person, right?
Goodbye, Mark, or whoever else is in there, and at that point I knew they were gonna go to Jake Lockley, because also
So I didn't know about this guy,
was
Jake. I was going to ask what was the name of the third guy at the end when we saw it.
Jake Lockley, because there was also the other tomb that they never opened up where he was saying "let me out," and they never went in and let him out.
Oh, right, the one that was standing up kind of vertically,
yes.
and they never opened it.
Correct. Yeah, that's where that personality was. So
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I think I stuck with it more out of my, I mean, look, it all stems from Dungeons and Dragons, my interest in mythology.
You just went you went full nerd on us just now, just
totally.
to let you know.
Oh, no shame.
Right.
Right. And so and I did for a while there, I had a fascination with Egyptian mythology. And so I was hooked into this basically from the beginning. I had no idea. I didn't know anything about the comic. That having been said,
hey, let me ask you this: what was it you that I went with to the museum there in Chicago to see all the Egyptian
museum or the Field Museum?
Yeah,
possibly.
I think it was. I think you're the one that got me up there to go look at that. Like we have a similar interest in that kind of thing. So I think I went there with you.
stuff is super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what kept me going. But at the end there, I mean, the battle between Khonshu and Amit was cool, but with a lot of with a lot of film and television content today, it's hard to get invested in something that is entirely CG. Like that.
Yeah.
There was a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
and I tell you what,
CG
it reminded me of another and I want to get Braden's thing. Braden, your thoughts on Moon Knight. I know that I told you I was going to watch the finale last night, and then you told me it was pretty good, and you told me, hey, Dad, there's a hidden scene at the end. I know you hate him, but I know you're old, but you forget often you can fast forward to that since you're at home watching it.
I liked Moon Knight. I wasn't so sure about the 5th episode and where they were going to go. I was just kind of like, okay, if you guys ruin this, I'm going to be pretty mad. But I thought it was good. I think Jake Lockley's third personality is really cool. I thought it was a good show. There was nothing that absolutely blew me away. But, I mean, it was good. I'm also in a Cinco de Mayo food coma because I went out for...
you had Mexican food tonight, yeah. Did you have rice with that?
So I'm 4 steak enchiladas deep and a virgin pina colada and a banana daiquiri.
And a banana daiquiri on top. Okay, that's fantastic. So did you have rice? Was rice any component of your Mexican experience tonight?
Huh?
Was rice a component of any Mexican dish you had tonight? I'm assuming it was.
No, they put about a whole bag of lettuce on my enchiladas.
Oh no, that probably ruined it for you.
I love it when they do that,
guys. I tell you what, like I've been having this. Like for me, rice is like you might as well just stick chloroform right under my nose. I don't know what it is about it, but when at my age, when I had stir fry last week at work. I took like 3 of my employees out for lunch. Went to an Asian fusion place, and there was a stir fry, which it's to die for. I mean, it's the best stir fry I've ever had, and I had chicken, grilled chicken stir fry. And I told all of them, I'm like, now we're gonna go walk right into a meeting at 1:30.
I'm gonna fall asleep.
I need all of you to make sure I don't just pass the hell out at the desk, because I might. Because this stuff is like, I don't know what it is, man, but if I have Mexican food, like a bowl with like quinoa or rice or anything in it, man, I am done. It is. It's like somebody just taking a rag, chloroform, just holding it over my face, and I'm out. And I never used to be that way, but
That's
I am
amazing.
now. I am now. I don't know why. Okay, so I don't want to get onto Mexican food, but yes, I'm glad you had a Cinco de Mayo. We ordered DoorDash tonight. Mexican. I made sure to cut the rice out, or I would never have made it to 10 o'clock to do the show. So anyway, yeah. So okay, Moon Knight was fun. I'm interested to see, like, if there were 3 personalities, right? There's Jake, Steven, Mark, and I think if I apply them to the people in this show, I gotta say, I think
I'm clearly Steven.
Latest Gators.
I know where you were going.
Can you sign out tonight going, Latest Gators?
You're not wrong.
Latest
Gators.
Yeah. I don't know this Jake personality enough, but I have some kind of sneaking suspicion that might fit me. Because Elliott seems like a nice guy, but, you know, can win a state wrestling championship when he has to. So I could put the Mark title on you. Jake's a wild card to me. I don't know anything about him.
He's a killer.
Okay, I'll take it. Sounds more dangerous.
Kicking the wheelchair reminds me of you.
Oh, you mean, I was the villain in the wheelchair at the end. Okay, well, maybe that's more appropriate.
No.
He had rice.
No, Jake kicking the wheelchair, like kicking it before he got in the car, reminds me of you.
Oh, yeah. He kicked it off
Really?
into the curb.
Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I can't see myself kicking a wheelchair, but that's fine.
Hey, but I gotta ask though, how confused were you at the end of the was it 4th episode when the hippo showed up?
Oh yeah, because I know nothing about the story, which sometimes is kind of cool, right? Like, I'll tell you another example. I didn't know anything about Lord of the Rings when I saw the first one. Knew nothing about it, like no frame of reference.
Oh, how pissed were you at the end of it?
I know, right? I'm like, they've got to wrap this movie up at some point. And I'm like, what the? I sat here for 3 hours. But I mean, I was so dazzled by the story, the characters, and visually back in 2001.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic.
Like, I know it's still impressive to this day. It really is. But in 2001, I mean, we had seen the Phantom Menace come out a year and a half before that one, so we started to see what special effects were capable of. But the story itself and the characters, like, I knew nothing about it. I came in blind. I'd heard the Lord of the Rings term before, and I knew it was a book of some sort, but I thought it was just shit nerds read. I didn't read. So I didn't really know how to read until I was like 25.
Shit nerds read as someone who loves Star Wars.
Audiobooks have always been my thing. Thank God for those. That's like the best invention since sliced bread for people like me. But you know, I didn't know anything about that story, and I thought it was just the best thing ever. And I watched that thing, and yeah, back in 2000, 2001. Shit, yeah, I watched the For Your Consideration Academy Award bootleg DVD. I didn't want to wait for that thing to come out on DVD, but I was the first one in line to buy it. But kind of, you know, like when I see shows like that I know nothing about, and I knew nothing about Moon Knight. I wasn't dazzled by Moon Knight, but I wanted more of it. Like, I wanted it to continue. So I'm glad to hear that it might be more of it might come back. That's like, after hearing what you had to say, Elliott. It sounds like it might return.
And I was happy after the penultimate one where Steven, you know, falls over the boat. I was like, dude, are they really going to kill off this personality of him? And it's just going to be Mark? I'm like, there's no way that they can do this. And I'm
be like us killing off
found
Pete.
a way
Yeah.
to come back to him too.
It'd be like us killing off Pete from the show.
This is the complaint that I had when we were talking the end of the book of Boba Fett. Right? This is a Disney thing nobody's ever did. As soon as he fell off the boat, I knew he was coming back. Like, and we talked about it at the time, and I know, and I hate to be a downer on this, but it's hard to get invested in the character and to mourn their death when you know that it's not final. You know they're coming back.
No, you're right about that, Pete. I mean, there was even if you look at something like the Avengers, how impactful would that? But even if you look at every time they talk about a Jedi surviving, like Brady, what the hell?
Farting
I don't know what he's doing. I think he's
phone.
playing with the rubber bands on his retainers right now. That's what he's doing.
Okay.
Am I right about that?
No, I don't have rubber bands anymore now.
Okay, what's that sound then?
So he was farting into the speaker
I
because
don't
he
know.
was bored.
It's okay if you were passing gas. Everybody poops.
I'll do the 17-year-old thing on mute.
I was gonna go on mute so he can really let it loose.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what he was talking about.
No, he farted. Okay. Glad we cleared that one up.
Confirmed.
So, shit. Now I completely forgot where I was going with that.
Not being invested in characters because they're going to die.
Yeah,
right.
You're talking about Avengers.
Talking about Avengers had an element of that, right? Like when they all came back. And it makes me appreciate a little bit, at least more. And sometimes
not everybody.
Sometimes in retrospect on things, I might not have liked certain movies at a time, or maybe been things about it that make me not want to watch them anymore. But I will say there is maybe an ounce of appreciation for what Johnson tried to do in The Last Jedi by making real consequence there, and even JJ and The Force Awakens to actually kill a character off. It's hard to do, right? Especially beloved ones that are, been around for 30 years, 20 years in comic books. They could have been around forever. So
I think it's more impactful when they do something like that just totally shatters you as a fan of that.
It's a fine line to walk though, right? Because if it's a beloved character and that's why people are tuning in, and you either change the character profoundly, Luke Skywalker, or you kill off one of the reasons to be for a movie, show, no matter what it is. Yeah, you do. It's a fine line there. It's a slippery slope, I guess, that you can take it too far.
I think that's why I like Endgame so much. The end.
I would agree. The
way that they send off Tony Stark. I mean, it gets me every single time, and I just like it was a perfect ending for his character for those movies.
And I'd say
because there's a finality to it.
Yes,
he's done.
Absolutely.
He is not coming back.
Yeah,
him and Scarlett Johansson, with the way that she's sacrificing herself.
Right. As far as that continuity and storyline, I think you're right, Elliott. She's gone, and now she came back into the Black Widow movie, but that was kind of a precursor.
Right.
I think they did it exceptionally well in Endgame, the way they killed off that character, and he was the center of the Avengers, right? I mean, kind of. Yeah, I know Captain America was the big component there, right? Like, if you were a comic book person, but it was Iron Man. It was Tony Stark.
Right. And that's what's missing. That's what's missing right now from the Marvel movies is there is no character around which there's more than the character. There is no actor who has that kind of
gravity,
on-screen charisma, who makes you want to watch and who can draw you in.
Well, and I'd say amongst all those superheroes, all those stories, I'm like, he was kind of like gravitational pull. Like no matter when he was on screen, you're watching him. Could be all of them on there, but you're looking at him. Especially when the mask was off, you're looking at Robert Downey Jr. and you're watching him, right?
He commanded the screen when he was with that group.
Yeah,
I mean, you had all those huge actors, but you wanted him to talk more because he just had the charisma.
Well, yeah, that character could sit there and talk shit to a god,
right?
Because he had a lot of money. Right. There's always something really cool about that.
The interesting thing about it too was, despite the complete lack of commonality with the average viewer, he absolutely was the stand-in for the audience, right? Thor was not our stand-in. Captain America was not our stand-in. Tony Stark was, because he was the one who was rolling his eyes at what was going on the rest of the screen. And he was the one talking shit going, you really expect me to believe that, right? You know, the whole great plan as he picks up a drink, right? That's us.
Yeah.
And that's why we were able to connect to him so much. And honestly, and that's what's missing. I think that's what's been missing from Star Wars to a certain extent too, is Luke Skywalker was us in the original trilogy, because he was just completely in over his head and he knew it, and he was just marveling at everything that was happening around him. And we knew watching that's exactly what our reaction would have been, you know, all the way through to the end. I'm not going to give up on my dad.
Yeah.
Like, he may have done all these things, but I'm going to give my dad a second chance. That's what we would all want to do as well.
I agree. And until we ask my son here, would you have, hey, Braden, you being in Luke Skywalker's role, would you have tried to save me, your dad, in the black armor? Or would you said, I'm good? That's a long delay, son.
Ask the question again.
What do you mean in the black armor?
Okay, so Pete just brought up an example.
Wears black armor.
Luke had so much faith that his dad still had good in him. Would you have thought the same of me?
I'd be able to tell if there was any good or even life in you if I looked at you, and depends how old you are. But if you were older, and
depends on how old I am.
You know, I do no, like, well, we're talking about like in the future. I mean, if you know, I was coming to save you or whatever, and you were 20 years old
behind those eyes
in a wheelchair, taking you to a home or something,
in a wheelchair,
like, anyway, or whatever.
God.
You kind of just looked at me like pissed off at the world. I'd probably just let you on your way.
You're just gonna drop. Hey, Dad,
he's gonna drop you off at the VA.
That's it. That's right. What he just said was basically, Dad, once you start showing signs of degradation, I'm going to tell you, hey, Dad, come on, we're going to go for a little ride. You're going to drop me off at Sunset Manor out here on the edge of town, right? That's what I just heard.
Yeah, because you've already got the mad at the world. I mean, you're already mad.
You might as well be mad out there.
As long as you got most life in your soul. If it drops into the 40%, we might have it.
You might have to have a talk.
Oh,
yeah.
jeez.
I tell you what, my mom's the one who sold like a lot of my old toys that I still had at home, like stored away, like my He-Man Castle Grayskull, my Burger King Star Wars glasses. Like, she got rid of that shit in yard sales over the years. And I've always told her, I'm like, Mom, you show one sign of slippage, man, I'm putting your ass in a home for getting rid of all that stuff. I'm going to do it. And my brother and sister agreed. So Mom's on watch. Anyway, Elliott walks away May 4th. We got to wrap it up. We're 11. We're an hour and 20 minutes right now. So perfect timing, eh? We got to talk about the biggest thing we want to talk about tonight. Baseball was one thing.
Well, we can start talking about it before he gets
Let's
back.
do it. Yeah, May the 4th. We had two things, right, Pete, that came out. We had Book of Boba Fett Gallery. I don't know if you've been able to see it yet. And then we had the trailer. Okay, I'm not going to talk about it then at this show, but it doesn't really change for me. It didn't change how I absorb how I took in the show as I watched it all through the season, but it gave me a little bit of appreciation, I think, for what Favreau and Filoni thought they were going to do with the series. And I'll just leave it at that. So
okay,
the trailer.
Look, I honestly don't get all the hype and excitement about it because we knew Vader was going to be in here anyway. So
I think it's little glimpses of things, new things that we see about how a mechanical arm's put on, just a glimpse of it. How the breathing apparatus is installed by a robot arm. You see it plug in and then it turns on. Those little things like that. Like every time we see a new property, not a new property, but like something like a Rogue One, or then we get to see a glimpse of this. Like we see a little bit of more of Vader behind the armor, like what happened, like what he is, how he's put together. Those little things are kind of cool. You know, it's a little morbid too. Like the first time we saw Vader, aside the fact when Luke took his mask off the end of Return of the Jedi, was the little short scene in Empire Strikes Back when we saw his helmet off. We saw the back of his head all scarred up and, you know, no coloration to it whatsoever. and I can't remember what admiral or captain was in his chamber trying to talk to him, but you can see the look in their face. We're like, holy, yeah, that guy's messed up. But every time,
I'm interested to see who Kumail Nanjiani is going to play. That was new.
Oh, you didn't know he was in it?
No, that had been leaked.
It had been announced that he was in it. We just didn't know what kind of role he was going to do. But
right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I think he's a Jedi,
a surviving Jedi.
Right, but who?
Don't know. Well, it's probably a filler actor. I would call it, like a Jedi that wasn't at the center of much, but was
going to be like Ki-Adi-Mundi, right? He's on the council, but nobody really remembers.
Yariel
He's just
Poof,
the one with the giant head.
Even Peel, those type of guys.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree, Pete. Like one of those that happened to like not he wasn't in the wrong place at the wrong time and happened to live for a little while longer, and
he wasn't important enough to have been leading a squadron of clone troopers so that he could get killed immediately.
But what's going to happen is they're going to be hunting Obi-Wan, and they're going to run into this asshole and go, "Oh, there's one."
Yep, you're right.
And it's not going to be set for stun.
Nope.
They can't kill him off.
Yeah, they can. Please.
Damn it.
I can't stand that. Arrogant. Anyway, and Ron, you've mentioned this before. This was a perfect Star Wars trailer because it didn't reveal anything that we didn't know.
They never do.
No.
They give you just enough.
We already knew Vader was going to be in there. We'd seen the Inquisitors even before the first trailer drop. We had seen these Inquisitors before, so there's only one new Inquisitor that we haven't experienced before. Didn't
they show the Seventh Sister?
Yeah, there was one in this trailer. They were like standing over some kind of table or something, and she was to the far left of the screen. And I didn't recognize her either. Now the Seventh Sister,
she looked like the one from Rebels. The one that was always
without the helmet
after
on.
Ezra.
Without the helmet.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, it may be, and that was Sarah Michelle Gellar voiced.
Right.
That.
So if that is her, then there still is only one new sister, right? And that's the one that the black actress is portraying. That's the only one that we haven't been introduced to.
Non-canonical.
We're in this trailer, we had revealed to us that Owen and Obi-Wan don't quite see eye to eye regarding Luke's strength. Well, no shit.
We knew
that was pretty clear way back in 1977.
That wizard's just a crazy old man.
Right. We didn't need and let's give some credit while his screenwriting leaves something to be desired. His actual writing and telling of a story is excellent. We didn't need George Lucas to spell out for us that Obi-Wan and Owen had an argument previously about how Luke was to be raised. All we needed was exactly what you said. That wizard's a crazy old man. We know that they've had this conversation before, and that Owen knew exactly, or I'm sorry, Lars knew exactly who Owen was.
It's still, there's nostalgia all over this thing, right? But it's still like interesting, like
that's what makes me nervous.
I know, because it could be screwed up, right? Like
so much nostalgia.
Could have left it alone.
It almost feels like this is the last shot.
Well, could be, Pete, and yes, I share your concerns too, because sometimes I think some things were better to be left alone, better to be left to your imagination to fill in the gaps yourself. I still feel the same way in some aspects about the life of Boba Fett. Everything, like, I might have been better off having this guy just remain mysterious forever. I don't need to know. Han Solo's background is the way he is when he arrives in Episode 4, A New Hope, but I didn't need to know anything before that, right? Still enjoyed that movie, but I didn't need it. Yes, there's a risk here that this is one of the original things that we've all known since the first time we've ever watched the movie, and I hope it has an impact like Rogue One does, Pete, where it didn't ruin anything and actually made it a little bit better. Rogue One made the opening scenes of A New Hope, for us at least, a little bit better. Seeing the end there, the whole Vader Tantive V4 scene, I think added a little bit of value even to the original trilogy. So it could go either way. I agree with you, right? Kind of standing on the razor's edge here. Could be on the fence, but
well, and I feel like I hope they take, because we know we're going to see, backflashes or whatever from the Clone Wars. I mean, that's kind of already come out, and I hope it adds to what we saw in the animated series. So,
yeah. Well, there's a lot of things that got me excited about this. And it was a voiceover part of this trailer where it said, "Hey, do you still want Obi-Wan?" I heard a voice say that. And to me, it sounded like Owen Lars. I could be wrong about the voice. It sounded like, to me, I'd have to go back and watch it a few times, but we heard, what's his name? Joel Edgerton? No, not
Joel Edgerton. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. That's him. Who's playing Owen Lars? Who played Owen Lars in Attack of the Clones and at the end of the
correct.
Yeah. And I heard a voice saying, "Hey, do you still want Obi-Wan?" Like almost like giving him up to the Inquisitors or some Imperial, and it kind of sounded like his voice. So I'm just kind of wondering if there's a flip there where, he's like, I want this guy gone. I don't want him anywhere near my adopted my nephew. I want him out of here. And if he's not willing to do that,
he got what he deserved.
He got a little baked, and not in a good way.
Sunburned. Should have put on the other SPF, Owen.
All right, Pete is rubbing his eyes, which leads me to believe that this is probably about the end of the line for the show. It's been a longer one tonight, but that's okay because we missed about a month altogether, so people couldn't get enough of us. So,
I actually looked it up at the beginning. This is the first time that we've done all three of us
back
to back weeks since February.
Sweet.
And we had a Braden cameo on tonight.
Yeah, it was the whole enchilada.
Next thing you know, we're gonna and with a bag full of lettuce too.
A burrito with a bag full of lettuce. Braden, your thoughts real quick on the Obi-Wan trailer. I know that I was happy to see it. I'm always happy to see Ewan McGregor in the Obi-Wan Kenobi garb. I don't care if it's a convention or what. He's just, I don't know if he's my favorite character in Star Wars ever, but he's got to be one of the top three. Always has been. So glad we get more of it. I'm glad Ewan McGregor's doing it. But Braden, any thoughts you have, assuming you have seen it?
Yeah, I was seeing it. I was in my Spanish class first hour. My Spanish teacher is a Star Wars fan. I was talking to her like, hopefully we get an Obi-Wan trailer today. And as soon as I said that, I got the notification that the trailer was out, which is pretty crazy.
Your Spanish teacher, then she should be able to understand the opening of the show because Pete decided to go ahead and do it in Spanish since it's Cinco de Mayo, by the way. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I actually understood the waitress today because she was speaking partly in Spanish, and I understood what she was trying to say, which is cool.
Did you go to Fiesta Ranchera?
No, this is in.
Oh my God, I forgot about that place.
46-ounce margaritas.
That's right. Dangerous too. It was like on a weird night. Was it Thursday or Tuesday? One of those nights.
Thursday nights. I think.
Thursday night. That was a dangerous place to be. You remember that, Pete, down where the old theater used to be? It used to be where. I don't remember the businesses.
It's
down
where
there.
Best Buy used to be.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was right next to it.
Yeah.
And then that theater is not there anymore. It was kind of like tucked in the corner.
Is it AMC?
No, it wasn't an AMC. It was something. I don't know what it was. It's not there anymore. It's dead.
Cinemark or
yeah, it's dead now.
Yeah, I mean it was a major one, but
the Palace is gone. Do you guys know that the Palace was out there in the cornfield, out there by the airport?
Really?
Yeah. Last time I was out there, it was done.
That's where that's where I saw Phantom Menace.
Yeah. Oh, was it? Yeah, I saw it out. I saw mine at the Dole Cannery in Hawaii. Not to show you guys up or anything, but that's where I saw mine.
Don't be a one-upper.
I won't be. All right, man. Let's do it.
All right. Si disfrutaste este episodio, no olvides suscribirte. Y si desea ayudar a correr la voz de una reseña de 5 estrellas y díjales a sus amigos que se suscribirán. Estamos disponibles en Rumble, Facebook, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify y en cualquier otro lugar donde escuches podcasts. Además, asegúrese de ver los otros podcasts de la red Gateway City Sports, incluidos Talking Sports in the Bleachers con Don Glenn, Derek King Sports Show, 2 for 3 con Moose Michaels, Yacker Jacks, XFL, STL, and the Cards con A-Train Arlington Lane. Send us an email at the show at teamofrivalspodcast.com. You can find Elliott on Twitter at
TOR_Elliott.
And you can find Ron at
TOR_Ron75.
Oh, and Braden, where can they find you?
Right now it's not going on because, NFL season's not going on. But
All right, fine.
in September, NFL MVP podcast.
We'll have him back on. He can do it then.
My take.
Okie dokie.
All right, Pete.
Ron?
Thanks for taking us out. It's been fun. 2 weeks in a row. We'll see if we can do 3 next week. Until then, we love you all so much. Bye-bye, everyone.